afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members, committees, and guests, as well as our online viewers. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank you for hosting this interim study today, and if I may, I'd like to Ladies and gentlemen, many of you know me and know that I've proudly served our country for over 22 years and have recently retired from the Air Force Reserves at Tinker, where I piloted the KC-135 refueler. I've deployed 9 times, and thank God I've returned home 9 times, safely and unharmed. The same cannot be said about many of my brothers and sisters in arms. Some of them have returned home with noticeable physical or emotional injuries. Some have returned with both. Yet some of our troops have returned with injuries that are much harder to properly diagnose and treat. In a 2013 HuffPost article written by Dr. Harry Croft, a former Army doctor and psychiatrist, 1 in 5 veterans suffer with combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder. And I quote, "Commonly experienced symptoms of military PTSD include inappropriate anger or irritability, insomnia, problems on the job and at home, acting detached or distant, having trouble with social events such as weddings, funerals, and other family gatherings, and being easily startled or hypervigilant." He continues later in this article with this statement: "It's not uncommon for the physician to write the patient a script for an antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication and send him on his way, failing to recognize there is a deeper underlying issue. In addition, many doctors have little time to spend with patients and therefore are simply unable to fully explore all symptoms and give adequate information about the best treatment options." Dr. Croft finishes his article with this short paragraph: "Combat-related PTSD is the silent killer of the military because it's often misdiagnosed, and without the right help, it can be extremely debilitating and is linked to an increased risk of suicide. The good news is that veterans can take control of PTSD with the right help and go on to be extremely valuable and productive assets to our communities and our workforce. The sooner treatment begins, the better. And that starts with increased education about PTSD for both veterans and physicians." There was an article published in September 20 of this year in the Stars and Stripes, one of our military publications, titled, "VA says veteran suicide rate is 17 per day after change in calculation." Now, I'm positive that this new statistic is reassuring to someone, given that the previous year's average was 20 per day. And we're all familiar with the 22 veteran suicide per day average. However, in an effort to reduce the rate statistic, the VA has changed its calculation to eliminate active duty, reserve, and National Guard members who were never federally activated deployed. Here's what that means. It means that the VA has disregarded some 1,000 suicides from our military ranks annually, simply to show a reduction in the suicide rate. Here at home, the Oklahoma veteran suicide rate is more than 5% higher than the national average, according to a 2016 study comprised by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. I think it's time to get real about the underlying issues that lead to veteran suicide. It's time to explore other treatment options with a proven history of success. My goal and the mission of healthcare options and access for our veterans is not only to help my fellow brothers and sisters get the treatment they need and deserve in order to improve their quality of life, but also to save families. How destructive is PTSD and suicide to a family unit? Strong families build strong communities. Strong communities build strong states, and so on. Mr. Chairman, today we're going to hear not only what hyperbaric oxygen therapy is and how it works, but also personal testimonies from fellow Oklahomans who have benefited from the healing effects of hyperbaric oxygen therapy.